G'day everybody, another update on Gary. He's getting his afternoon tucker at the moment. A bit spoilt. Enjoying some pellets and hay. Very nice to see everyone's concern for Gary. A few questions popping up in the comments. Feel free really to send through any questions and I'm happy to answer them. For a few that I noticed, yes, I am in consultation with a vet. I'm working very closely with one to keep track of Gary's progress. It's not as fast as we would hoped, but it is a bone injury, and bone injuries take a while to heal. The option to amputate is still there. It's not ruled out at this point. However, there are pros and cons to every treatment, and there's various ways at which we can take those options, such as if we were to amputate now, post-infection, it would be in better standing than amputating when he had a full infection raging through that area. Some people have questioned the fact that we did it in a barn or stable type situation rather than a surgery. Now, we were cleaning an infected area. The fact that some of the people questioning this were vet nurses, they should be aware of the difference between a septic wound and an aseptic wound. Remember, an abscess isn't sterile. You try and clean it as much as possible, but there's no way it's sterile. It's got infection present. So where we performed the surgery was actually perfectly fine. In fact, we had better conditions there than what some farmers do out in the paddocks. We were actually able to bandage his wound and keep it clean, and the tough rock helped keep it clean as well. Jimbo calls it mud, and it is. It's mud. It's volcanic clay. But it's been processed and cleaned. I would use it on myself. It's practically medical grade. The only difference is it's got to go through testing and assessment for all that. People go on about the pain and anesthetics, locals. Do people know what they're talking about here? As we've tried to explain in the past, anesthetics can be dangerous for a goat. If we go on surgery, we have to put him under general anesthetic. A dog can die under general anesthetic, so can a goat. Sedation still has problems, and if we had problems with Gary here, we'd have to run him down to a vet. Now, most sedatives, if not all sedatives and anesthetics, including locals, need to be administered by a vet. Not only is this extremely expensive, but the efficacy of such treatments can be called into question. Whoop, hold on, we've got company. Eat up, Gary, they're coming to get you. So yeah, now my goats are here. It's alright, he's got more up the back there. Now, we can administer anesthetics at a vet practice because the vet practice has ways of monitoring the animal, and should anything go wrong, which is possible, it happens all the time, something can go wrong whilst they're under anesthetic. They've got drugs, machines, toys that will let them fix it. It's an expensive option, and as said, you can call in the efficacy of it. What I've done for Gary here at my place is just exactly the same as what a farmer would do on their property. The animal's not traumatized by it. They carry on just as normal after the fact. Now, Gary is on some pain relief. The pain relief he's on, or in fact any form of pain relief, isn't something an animal should be on full time. So the hope is, in this interim period, his bone heals enough that we can eventually take him off the pain relief and he'll be okay. Now, there's a lot of people who are pro-amputation, and don't get me wrong, amputation is a possibility, and if it comes to that, I'm for it as well. However, the option of amputation has got its complications. What people don't realise is this is an 85 kilo animal. Now, if we were to amputate his toe, that means he's only got one toe to spread the weight on that foot, which means he'll then start favouring the other foot, which can result in injury and occurrence of arthritis early on. That sets in. We then get complications in the other foot again. Everything reciprocates. Just the same as how someone you might know with arthritis might favour the other limb. The other limb gets injured because they're using it more than the first one. The problems compound on each other. So we've taken the medicated route. We're attempting to treat the illness and see if we can do it without surgery. This is still a valid option. It's still an option done in consultation with vets. Should it not work, should we get to the end of the process, Gary would still have been in this pain if we chopped it off first thing. And the risks of what could have occurred, because he would have been put under anaesthetic, he would have lost a major digit on his body, and he would have had an active infection. He's now gone through a course of antibiotics, and the hope is when we x-ray it, there's just some minor bone loss, and he needs a little bit of rehab to get the strength in his legs back up. If we amputate now, the same as what would have occurred back then. He'll spend a couple of weeks for the wound to heal, and in talking to the vets, it's not just a lop it off, sew it up, and he'll be good to go sort of amputation. It's going to be a little bit more complicated than that because of where we'd have to do it. Whilst it might be the equivalent to the first joint of one of our fingers right behind our fingernail, the way it's situated on his limb, it's like taking your index finger off at the knuckle closest to your palm. So he's not going to be able to use that foot properly for a while because he'll be in a bit of pain. That pain would be to the same level to what he's in now. People like myself work with large animals all the time. Therefore, I'm in consultation with vets all the time. I treat my own animals. I treat my own animals with the recommendations from vets. It's not just some piss drinking, fruit eating, hippie mumbo jumbo. Jimbo really cares for this animal. It's his best mate. They're on the road together. It's not just some, you want attention. It's not just some financial thing for him. He's spent more money on this goat in the past couple of weeks than what, he probably has his own health. So we're trying to do the best option for Gary. Yes, he had a bit of pain to begin with. It's over and done with. He's running around my yard chasing my goats, and then vice versa, they chase him. Because I need to buy a tool to trim Gary's hooves. Gary's got tougher hooves than my goats, so I need to get something right for him. Once I can trim Gary's hooves, I can start walking him a bit better, because then with his feet trimmed up, he can walk on them properly. At the moment, he's spending a lot of his time sitting down and eating good food. Like someone said in the comments, he's a goat. It's not like he can just sit around all day. No, he's a goat, so he can sit around all day. They do. They'll eat a bit of food, and then they'll sit down, they'll have a sleep, let it all ferment in their gut. I'll get up, have a drink of water, eat a bit more food, and they're on pretty good tucker here. They're getting loose in hay. He's on goat pellets, and I've got him on sheep and cattle nuts, which, no, it's not. They're not sheep and cattle testicles. They're pellets made by a manufacturer. So he's got nice, good crude protein, calcium, supplements, access to a lick block. Like, these guys are pretty cushy. Like, if I turn my camera around, my goats aren't pregnant. They're full of tucker. So, They're not fat either. They'll be getting a bit fat with the amount of food that they're eating at the moment, because we've had some rain and my yard's picked up a little bit. So yeah, Jimbo showed this in a video beforehand. Yeah, I've got pasture. I've grown pasture. I'm growing a pasture which is made of chicory, red clover, white clover, rye. It's Italian rye, perennial rye, and tall fescue. So, you know, it's production grade feed. Like, you know, they're spoiled. Yeah, they're my pets. So they're spoiled. A bit better life, you know. Got proper collars, name tags, ID, good food. They get walked around the park. So yeah, I go to look after. I don't work with production animals anymore. I do work with animal care. Looking to expand it a bit more with the amount of pets and stuff that are coming about in the world. Pet goats. I do believe that hopefully there will be a market for people like myself to help people look after their goats, go out to their place, because goats are classed as a large animal, a production animal, farm animal. So instead of paying what you might pay to get your dog looked at, you've got to pay twice as much to get a goat looked at, even though your goat might be the same size as a dog. And yeah, as I said, my goat's a spoiled. She's being a little bit of attention whore at the moment. Hey? Yeah. Like last video with her, there was a thing where the camera went all rocking about. Someone said like, "Oh, he hit the goat." Nah, the goat hit me. That's what they do when they want attention. You know, she'll scratch at the food, but she'll also scratch at me. I'll ignore her. She'll come at me. Hey, look. I'll ignore her. She'll come at me. You know, you can't train that in a goat. They're just, some are like that. Like these two, they're like paddy goats. Hey. But this one, she'll come sit beside me in the lounge if I let her.
How good is he? Barry is the man when it comes to goats, and I can't believe I found him. What a godsend for Gary to be in rehab with Barry, the goat guy. And if anyone's got a question, just ask Barry. Put it in the comments so people can, you know, see it as well. Because there's a lot of people who want to have goats as a pet. They're awesome, man, and they're good training for dealing with kids. Yeah. Look at that. He's standing on my computer. Yeah, Gary used to do that as well. So yeah, I've put Barry's email in the comments below, and that's also his PayPal address if you want to shout him a beer, man. Yeah, Maya, can you say, Barry, you're a top bloke?
Barry, you're a top bloke.
Yeah, and Eden, can you say, good on you, Barry? Yeah, still trying to teach him how to talk, but I'm sure there's 2 words you might pick up pretty soon.